My cousin's husband wants to physically fight me because I told his wife to stop projecting her miscarriage onto my baby. My cousin Caitlin had a miscarriage last year. She was about 2.5 months pregnant, almost at the end of her first trimester. It was her first pregnancy, and from what I understand, she and her husband, Jack, had just started trying when it happened. It hit her really hard. I mean, she was devastated. She called me, crying so loudly I could barely understand her. She told me she was bleeding, that something was wrong, and that she was scared. I dropped everything and ran to her house. That night, I stayed with her for hours, holding her hand as she cried. She paced and blamed herself. Over and over, she repeated things like, "My body failed me, and I should have done more." I kept assuring her it wasn't her fault, that these things happen more than people talk about, but she wasn't ready to hear any of it. I was spiraling downward. We used to be close, not enough to talk every day, but certainly closer than usual. She was someone I trusted, someone I let go of my plans for. And I did. I was there for her time and time again, especially in those first months after her loss. I brought her groceries, cleaned her kitchen when she didn't have the energy, and always listened. But after the miscarriage, something changed in Caitlin. Every time we talked, she'd come back to her grief, the trauma, motherhood, or some combination of the three. I'm not saying it's wrong to talk about what hurts you, but at the same time, I think there's a limit to how much you can do if you don't want to obsess over it. She started making oddly direct comments when someone else in the family announced something baby-related. They weren't so bad at first, but they got worse when our cousin announced her pregnancy at a small family dinner. Caitlin said it loud enough for everyone to hear. I guess it's easy for some people. She got up and left before dessert. She also became very sensitive. Anything remotely related to babies made her upset. She left our other cousin's baby shower halfway through the celebration and didn't even say goodbye. She once got upset because a diaper commercial came on during family game night. I tried to be understanding. I really tried. Trauma changes people, but it was getting difficult to be around her, having to be careful about what to say and what not to say. She sought professional help, thanks to my advice, but that doesn't seem to be helping. But this is where what I'm telling you becomes about me. I had my baby 2 months ago, healthy, full term, easy delivery. I'm grateful every day because I've seen how difficult it has been to lose a pregnancy in my cousin. And believe me, I don't take anything for granted. That said, I also made a conscious effort to keep my pregnancy low-key, especially out of respect for Caitlin. I didn't post photos of my baby bump, I didn't have a big gender reveal, or even throw a baby shower. I wasn't hiding my joy, but I was cautious. I thought I was doing the right thing, since I knew how much these things hurt my cousin. When the baby arrived, I sent Caitlin a private message with a single photo and a short text. "She's here now, and we're both fine. I hope you're okay too." His response, just one word, was congratulations. I didn't insist. I thought maybe he needed some space. A while later, she asked to come over to my house. I honestly thought it was a good sign. Maybe she was ready to reconnect, maybe even meet the baby. I told him, yes, come, we'll keep it quiet. He came with Jack, which I didn't expect, but anyway, I accepted. The visit started well. She held the baby for about 5 seconds before handing him back. Then came the comments. "It must be nice to carry him to term." Don't take this for granted. Not everyone has the opportunity. I hope you really appreciate this because babies don't always survive. And then, the worst part is, sudden infant death syndrome is real. You know, sometimes they just stop breathing, even healthy ones. I froze. Why would anyone say that to a new mother? I was holding my 2-month-old baby when she said it. I looked at her and said, "Caitlin, that's not helpful." She just shrugged and said she was being honest, since she understood the trauma, that she was trying to be strong, even though being around my baby caused her pain. I replied, "So maybe this wasn't the best place for you today." That's when she got that expression on her face, like she couldn't believe I wasn't begging. And then he said, "You'll never understand what it's like to feel your body failing you." That's when I exploded. I said, "I'm sorry for what happened to you. I really am. But that doesn't give you the right to talk about my baby's possible death. She didn't do anything to you. Stop projecting your trauma onto her. I'm not responsible for your pain." He stood up, grabbed his coat, and left. Jack stood back, looking like he wanted to say something. I looked him straight in the eyes and said, "She came to my house and talked about my baby dying. Don't act like I'm the one who crossed the line." He left without another word. But that night, Jack texted my husband, and this is when everything went from sad to surreal. He said, "We need to talk and work this out, man to man." Your wife emotionally attacked my girl while she was trying to be strong. That's not right. My husband's response. Don't contact us again. Now, Caitlin has blocked me on everything. My aunt, her mother, says I should have been more sensitive, that maybe I could have been gentler. And I responded, gentler than what? Letting her talk about infant death while I held my 2-month-old baby? I was sensitive for a year. I tried hard to accommodate her pain. I skipped celebrations, avoided sharing accomplishments, sat silently with her, and let her cry when no one else was patient. But now I'm told I'm the bad guy because I set a boundary. So here I am, wondering if I handled it wrong, if I went too far, if I should have let it happen. Did I do the right thing? Update 1. I didn't expect them to empathize so much or even genuinely care. Apparently, the consensus is that my cousin was wrong to talk about my baby like that. Anyway, things escalated again. Of course, that was bound to happen. Jack eventually confronted me, or at least he tried. He showed up at my parents' house during Sunday lunch. My parents are in charge of organizing lunches every other weekend. The rest of the Sundays are at other people's houses. That week, I wasn't there. I decided to stay home with the baby because we were finally getting into a routine with naps. My mom told Jack I wasn't there, and apparently that set him off. According to my dad, Jack started yelling in his living room loud enough for people in the kitchen to hear. He said I had emotionally attacked Caitlin and made fun of her pain. He said I had to make peace, or he'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was, even if it meant getting physical. I'm still not sure what that means. No one knows if he was trying to socially threaten me, or if he was just letting off steam, or worse, but either way, my dad wouldn't tolerate it. He told Jack to leave and never come back. My mom called me right after, and she was visibly upset. My dad is more old school and doesn't usually get involved in these things, but even he thought Jack was out of line for talking like that. After that, my phone didn't stay silent for long. I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. Apparently, she sent me a long message about how she was grieving the loss of our relationship, how she never thought I'd reject her when she needed me most, and how she felt completely erased by the birth of my baby. She said I should have protected her from the reminders, and that by not doing so, I'd basically chosen my baby over our bond. I didn't respond, because I don't even know what kind of response she expects. What do you say to someone who believes your child's existence is a personal betrayal? I don't have the energy to explain that I didn't choose to be a mother to upset her. It's also worth mentioning that Caitlin never once asked me how I was doing. Not when I gave birth, nor during my recovery, not even in that message. It was all about how my life had hurt her. I don't expect the world to revolve around me, but apparently she wants the world to revolve around her. And then, there's Jack. He started sending my husband direct messages on Instagram. At first, they were pretty normal, then it got weird. She said my husband was filling my head with ideas to turn me against Caitlin, and that he was using his privilege to keep me isolated. What? My husband has barely spoken to Caitlin outside of family gatherings. He's always stayed out of it unless someone crossed the line. He's never told me what to say or do. She only intervened when Jack started acting crazy. We both blocked Jack and Caitlin now. And then, there's Caitlin's younger sister, who's always been the quiet one. We've never been super close, but we get along. He sent me a direct message the day after Jack showed up at my parents' house. He said he didn't want to take sides, but he needed to get in touch because something wasn't right. According to her, Caitlin hasn't been to therapy in months. She stopped going when her last therapist told her that healing might require her to stop seeing herself only as a victim. Caitlin reportedly said the therapist was invalidating her pain and cut her off. Since then, she's only been on online grief forums. The sister said some of those forums help people, but others are like echo chambers. And Caitlin only interacts with those that reinforce everything she already believes. Basically, she's very involved in it. Her sister also said this isn't the first time Jack has tried to physically confront someone on Caitlin's behalf. She said last year Jack had a confrontation with his neighbor over a random comment about her pregnancy. Something like, Jack got out of control, and they had to stop him. She also said that Jack once confronted a nurse at Caitlin's OBGYN office for being indifferent, when they told him he could try again after her next cycle. The sister said she doesn't excuse Jack, but she thinks he's feeding off Caitlin's pain because it gives him a purpose. It makes sense. I think Caitlin was hoping I'd avoid having kids until she had one, or hide everything about it once I did. And when I didn't do either of those things, that was it. I hate that it's come to this, but I don't feel guilty anymore. I'm just tired of being the only one expected to do something, of conforming, of self-censoring so no one feels bad. I'll come back if things get worse. But for now, I'm just focusing on my daughter, my husband, and the people who truly want to be in our lives without making it a battle. Update 2. Caitlin's sister called me late last night. For those who didn't read the last post, she's Caitlin's younger sister. We've been in touch more since this whole thing started to unravel. She said she didn't want to keep secrets anymore, especially with things getting so bad. According to her, Caitlin's miscarriage didn't happen the way the family was told. The sister told me that Caitlin never made it to the end of her first trimester, as she claimed. In fact, she said Caitlin didn't even have a confirmed heartbeat. She took a home test, tested positive, and scheduled a doctor's appointment, but miscarried before going. It all happened over the course of a week. There were no ultrasounds, no checkups, no real confirmation of a viable pregnancy. Basically, it was likely a biochemical pregnancy. These things happen all the time, and they're painful. But according to what the sister said, Caitlin told everyone, including Jack, that she'd lost a baby girl. She picked out a name, said she saw the heartbeat, and told people she'd already bought clothes. None of that happened. Again, I'm not here to minimize anyone's loss. I know biochemical pregnancies hurt too, but for over a year, Caitlin has been speaking the full language of a grieving mother. It wasn't just sadness, it was a complete identity. The sister said Jack was completely invested in this. He was there from the beginning and simply accepted whatever version Caitlin was telling. From the outside, she probably seemed supportive, but now I think she was just enabling and maybe forming a trauma bond, which, needless to say, is unhealthy. She also told me that Caitlin had a meltdown a few months ago when another of our cousins got pregnant. She apparently started screaming that it wasn't fair, and told her sister that she would never forgive the universe if I had a baby before her. He said I didn't deserve him, and that everything always worked out for people like me. I guess this was months before I even told anyone I was pregnant. I also spoke to his mom, my aunt, after his sister called me. I just wanted to understand what was going on from her perspective. And to be honest, I was expecting another guilt trip about how I should approach her, or apologize, or whatever, but that didn't happen. She told me, and I'm roughly quoting, that Caitlin's behavior is no longer sustainable, that Jack isn't helping matters, and that she was starting to feel like she was losing her daughter to something she couldn't control. My aunt asked me if I would consider seeing Caitlin in person, not to reconcile, but to give her some closure. She said maybe seeing me could help her move forward. I told her no, as I don't think she's in a place to handle it safely or productively. I also told her I wasn't going to sit across from someone who told me my baby could die in her sleep. That's not just grief. That crosses a line. She said she understood and would try to get Caitlin real treatment. I hope that's true. Jack, for his part, remained silent. The last time he fell, he showed up at my parents' house uninvited. I don't think I'm above doing it again. I'm just glad Caitlin's sister was honest. It can't be easy going against your own sister, but she said she didn't want this to end with anyone getting hurt, and honestly, neither do I. I hope I don't have anything to share for another update. Update 3. So yeah, Jack tried to show up at my house. We have a Ring camera, and that's how I found out. He never knocked on the door, just stood there, hands in his hoodie pockets, looking around as if he was deciding what to do. Then he left. It gave me the creeps, and I'm not easily scared. My husband reported it as non-emergency to the police and asked what we could do to formally document it. They let us file a report and basically told us to call immediately if he shows up again. That was enough for now, but we're not waiting to see how far this goes. We sent the video to Caitlin's sister. She was just as scared as we were and promised that Caitlin didn't know Jack did that. I truly believe her. She's been honest with me since this whole thing started falling apart. And I think she's scared too. He said, Caitlin's been weird lately. Which is saying something for someone like Caitlin lately. Apparently she's been saying things like, my baby was meant to be hers. She also said the wrong person gave birth. We've started securing everything. Social media profiles, baby photos, even our baby monitor app is now password protected. My husband's boss is a lawyer, and he offered to connect us with someone in case we need to take legal action. We're considering a restraining order if Jack shows up again, even once. What's weirder is how much I still miss the cousin I grew up with. I've known Caitlin practically my whole life. We had phone calls, inside jokes, and family vacations together when she told me she was trying to get pregnant. I remember hugging her and thinking, we're really doing it, becoming mothers together. I thought that would bring us closer. Now I'm closing the doors more securely because I don't trust her husband not to come back. Because I don't know what's real for her anymore. And Jack, I don't even know what to say about him now. The sister told me this is the third time he's shown up at a location unannounced after someone bothered Caitlin, not just the neighbor incident I mentioned earlier. He apparently also went to his own cousin's workplace after the cousin made a joke about Jack and Caitlin being obsessed with babies. I didn't know any of this until this week. So no, I don't think Jack just made a mistake by showing up here. I think he's dangerous, and the fact that she didn't knock makes it worse. I told my mom everything, showed her the video, read her Caitlin's sister's messages. She stayed silent. Then he said, "This has gone way beyond the family drama." He's right. We told my aunt, Caitlin's mom. He said, "I tried to tell him to see someone, but he won't listen." Update 4. I wasn't planning on posting again, but a few people got in touch asking what happened at the end. Things have finally calmed down, or so I hope. Caitlin is currently in a psychiatric facility. According to her sister, she had a public meltdown at work, yelled at a pregnant coworker, threw something across the room, and had to be escorted out by security. Her boss called Jack, and Jack called his sister. They took her to the hospital, and from there, she was admitted for observation. They're not holding her against her will or anything like that, but she's now receiving psychiatric care, and she's agreed to stay for treatment. Before anyone jumps in, no, I'm not happy we've gotten to this point. I don't think anyone is. It's a horrible situation all around, but I also can't act like I haven't seen it building for months. Her sister told me Caitlin wasn't sleeping and barely eating. He was following a bunch of parent accounts, taking screenshots of random baby photos, and saving them to a folder on his phone. Apparently, he had a photo of my daughter saved there too. Jack hasn't tried to contact us since the incident with our RI camera. We haven't had to escalate it legally yet, but we've taken precautions. I've made it very clear to my family that we won't interact with him, and if anyone gives him personal information, they're out of our lives too. There will be no second chances. Some family members have reached out, saying, now that Caitlin is getting help, maybe it's time for her to forgive and forget. One even suggested bringing my baby to visit her when she's discharged so she can find healing. That's not going to happen. Not now, maybe never. I understand that mental health issues are complicated. I understand that grief manifests in different ways, but my daughter isn't your therapeutic tool. She's not responsible for fixing what Caitlin went through, or what she became afterward. For those asking, no, I haven't spoken to Caitlin. Her sister says she's asked about me in therapy, but she hasn't mentioned wanting to talk directly. If he does, I'll think about it, but it won't be face to face. And it definitely won't be until his doctors say he's stable and on ongoing treatment. And even then, it will be on my terms, with clear boundaries. The rest of the family remains divided. Some people have finally understood why I had to cut off contact. Others still act like I kicked her when she was already down. I'm not going to waste my time trying to convince them anymore. I know what I saw and heard. I know what he said in my house, looking me in the face as I held my daughter. That kind of thing sticks. I'm not angry anymore. I was for a long time, mainly because of how quickly everything turned around. One minute I was the person he leaned on, and the next, I was his enemy for having a baby. That change still hurts a little, but I've accepted that the person I knew, the cousin I grew up with, probably doesn't exist in the same way anymore. I still hope she comes out of this stronger and healthier. I really do, but I'm not going to put myself or my family in his way while he figures it out. My husband has been incredible throughout all of this. Calm when I couldn't be, and clear-headed when everything felt like chaos. She still checks our security cameras every day and checks on our daughter's daycare pickups. I think we're both trying to find a new version of normal. The baby is doing great. He's reaching all his milestones. He's sleeping better, he's growing fast. This is the best part of our lives right now, and keeping her safe, both physically and emotionally, will always be the most important thing, even above family ties. It's incredible how quickly things can fall apart when people don't confront their trauma. I don't regret saying what I said. I don't regret setting that boundary. If anything, I wish I'd done it sooner. Update 5. Until now, I felt sorry for Caitlin, tried to put myself in her shoes, see the pain she was suffering, but no longer. The lies, not only about the timing of her pregnancy, but also about the rest of the situation, make me lose all sympathy for her. Because of course, Caitlin can still cause drama, even if she were receiving psychiatric help. She needs it not only for the loss of her pregnancy, but also for other things she's done. This is what's been happening in the last few months, and it explains a lot about her and her behavior. Behavior that started before she got pregnant, which makes it all the more disturbing. When Caitlin told me she wanted to be a mother, which excited me because I was also planning to be one. She didn't tell me everything. She didn't tell me she was cheating on her husband. Not only that, things in their relationship hadn't been going well before. And it wasn't because of the infidelity. The infidelity came later. The infidelity was so she could get pregnant to trap Jack. She thought that if she got pregnant, even if it wasn't Jack's, it would make him stay. That's why she freaked out so much when she lost him. Her chance was gone. And then, when she saw that Jack was caring for her, protecting her through her pain, she took that and amplified it, to the point where it became her entire identity. Now it's all come out as part of her therapy, and Jack is asking for a divorce. Caitlin will still continue receiving treatment because there are so many things she needs to address. She's not taking this divorce very well, and has had a complete meltdown. But at this point, not even her sister is visiting her, although my aunt doesn't either. There are so many things she's done wrong that it's hard to feel sorry for this woman. The only positive thing to come out of all this is seeing Jack apologize to us and the rest of the family. He said it's been difficult watching his wife's pain through all of this, and he didn't react in the best way. But unlike my cousin, he's getting help and really wants to manage his anger issues. He's also promised to stay away from all of us, now that he's no longer officially part of the family. I can't guarantee this will be my last update, because I don't know what will happen to Caitlin. But the last time her sister saw her, she was in a pretty bad state mentally. She was withdrawn and only muttering. She's far from a normal person, and I don't know how long it will take for her to recover. I also don't know if I'll come back for an update or if I'll just skip this topic. I thought things would get better after 2024 ended, but 2025 has started with more drama from my cousin, and I need to step back from the situation for a bit to decompress. I hope your start to the year has been better than mine, and that everyone's start to be better for the rest of it.